Good morning from Tokyo, where it's actually lunchtime. But yeah, today I'm gonna talk about my favorite area in Tokyo. I wanted to go here like 2 weeks ago, but it was raining, the day in Akihabara. So I came here today. So it's actually not this area. This is Ueno Park. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It actually doesn't look as impressive as it does in spring. In spring you have all of these trees kind of with cherry blossoms, and you got sakura season going on. So it's a really popular spot to come here in like April, March. But right now it's mid-December and the trees are pretty much down already. We have some autumn colors left, but it's nothing impressive. But anyways, this isn't actually the spot or the area that I wanted to talk about, but it's a good kind of gateway point or good entry point to go to it. So the area that I'm gonna explore today is called Yanaka. Yanaka is kind of the only area in Tokyo where you can still kind of see old Edo style, or well, not necessarily Edo, but like oldish Tokyo. And the reason for that is it was mostly spared from like bombings during World War II. And it's a really kind of interesting area that is not really that explored by tourists, which I think is great. Like most tourists actually end here, which is Ueno Park. And beyond that, they don't really venture out toward the north, which is where we are going today. So yeah, I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about the area a bit later. But our first stop is going to be Yanaka Cemetery, which is the biggest cemetery in Tokyo, I believe, or certainly in central Tokyo. And it's a really cool place in spring again for sakura season, but even beyond that it has a really cool kind of vibe to it. So yeah, first stop, Yanaka Cemetery. Now I'm in Yanaka Cemetery, which is, as I said, one of the biggest cemeteries in Tokyo. And it's a really old school type cemetery that sustained, as I said, world wars and like all of the other disasters, like the big Tokyo earthquake. And yes, this behind me, as you can actually see or not see, there used to be a 5-story big pagoda, which is like a huge tower, used to stand here, and it again withstood all of the earthquakes and all of the wars and stuff. But then it actually burned down in 1957, and the legend says that it was a lover's suicide. So a couple went inside and burned themselves together with the high tower, and today only like some base stones remain of it. And yeah, that's everything. But yeah, otherwise it's pretty much, yeah, this is just a cemetery, but it's kind of has, well, it's a different cemetery than you're used to in Europe or like in the US, because it has all of these like Japanese aesthetics. And it's kind of an interesting contrast, because you have this really like traditional style cemetery, but then in the backdrop, I don't know if you can see it here, but for example here in the backdrop you already have like Tokyo the sky tree towering up, and you also have like apartment buildings in the background. And yeah, it's a really interesting contrast kind of between old style Tokyo and new style Tokyo, and just an interesting place to explore for maybe an afternoon. And if you're here in sakura season, even better, because then I think this gets really popular, like all of the sakura trees in pink. Pretty nice. So yeah, that's gonna be my first stop here in Yanaka, and I'm going to now continue onwards, or continue a little bit back to 2 more kind of interesting places, which are kind of more art galleries. So what you can see behind me is called Sky, the bathhouse, and it used to be like a former onsen style bathhouse, I guess, and they rebuilt it into like an art gallery now, and it houses 3 exhibitions throughout the year. This one was kind of weird. It was by a Chinese/German artist, and it was really conceptual, as in, for example, you had a chair that was missing a leg and instead was replaced by like a bronze broccoli. So yeah, very conceptual stuff, so to say. And yeah, I think because it's free though, it's kind of worth entering. And I think this is a temple or something. I think right now I'm going to the next stop, which is not kind of quite in Yanaka, but it's only a 15-minute walk from here, and it's like a very famous shrine that I wanted to visit for a while, so I thought, why not? So yeah, next up it's gonna be the shrine. Nara Shrine right now, and I honestly cannot believe how beautiful this place is. Like, this is probably the most beautiful temple that I've ever seen in Tokyo, and it honestly rivals like some of the most beautiful ones in Kyoto. And another perk is that there's very few people here, like comparatively to like other temples like Asakusa Shrine or something like that, or like other shrines. This is nothing. Like there are maybe a top like 100 people here in like a shrine that's really comparatively massive. I think this is really amazing. So basically I have the main shrine house, or like the main shrine, and all of this is basically preserved from, I think it was built in 1745, which is comparatively a long time, because in Tokyo basically anything after World War II is what we now see of most of Tokyo, except for this area, Yanaka, and kind of the shrine as well, which is kind of like the older Tokyo. So this is well preserved, and you basically have the main shrine, which is really nice, but then you also got these torii gates that you also know. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but in Kyoto, in Fushimi Inari Shrine, you have these like red torii gates. These ones are, well, smaller, and there's not a lot of, but there's also no people there, or very few people here, so you can have a lot more time with these shrines or with these gates for yourself, which is really nice. And otherwise, yeah, it looks really nice in autumn colors, but especially with like the sun coming in for the side right now, like the falling leaves and everything. Like, it's a really fucking great atmosphere. And I cannot believe that this place isn't on the radar for many more people, because it is really amazing. It's a free shrine as well to visit, so it doesn't even cost money. Yeah, it's a really amazing place. So if you come to Tokyo and you only want to see one place in like this area, Yanaka, definitely come here, because this is, I don't think you can top this with any other places that we're gonna go to after this. But wow, really fucking nice. I don't know how I never came here, like in the 6th time that I've been here. Definitely gonna be back as well. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna explore a little bit more. Maybe take a little bit more footage. Unfortunately, what happened was I had my gimbal in my backpack and it turned on automatically, so it drained all of the battery before I arrived here. When I tried to turn it on, well, the battery was empty, so unfortunately I wasn't able to show you like some really smooth gimbal shots, so everything was handheld. But yeah, it was a really amazing place. But yeah, next up is gonna be back to like the original Yanaka area, and I want to show you a place that I've been to actually before because I used to live there. So I'm going to show you that in a couple of minutes, but for now I'm just gonna enjoy a little bit more time here. So I made it to my next stop, which is Yanaka Ginza, which is like this kind of long, winding alley that has all of these like stalls around it, where you can buy, well, I bought some food. You can also buy some souvenirs and stuff. And yeah, I've never really been here, but from what I can tell, it seems pretty touristy. Well, it's not only aimed like for like foreigner tourists, but it's mostly just like stores and stores selling souvenirs and like different kinds of like street food snacks. So it's not really as kind of a local area as, well, internet descriptions would make it out to be. There's another place for that, which I'm gonna show you in like a different video. But yeah, it's kind of, it's an interesting area, I guess. Kind of touristy, but I think the snacks are really good, so I guess it's worth a detour if you are in Yanaka anyways. And yeah, I'm just gonna find a place to eat my snacks, and then I'm gonna continue onwards because the sun is setting and I wanna be at sunset at a different spot. And also, what I mentioned earlier, the place that I used to live, I'm gonna show you that as well. This is the area where I used to live, kind of. What happened was back in 2015 or something, I came for the second time to Japan, and what I wanted to do was to travel kind of longer term during that time. And so I kind of rented like a 1-month share house apartment room in this area, and it was really cool. Like, this area is called Nishinipuri. It's like still kind of in the general Yanaka area, and it has all of these still very traditional old style streets. And yeah, it's a really cool area. The place was only like 10 minutes away from the station, which was really cool. And it was like an international share house, so I had my own room, but then the facilities were shared, like the shower and the kitchen and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a really cool place. I really like living there for a month. Yeah, recommend coming here if you are kind of in the general Yanaka area. And my next stop is going to be my last stop already, which is going to be like one of Tokyo's finest kind of landscape parks, or like Japanese style garden parks, I guess. Made it to Rikuji Gardens, and looks like there's still a little bit of autumn colors there. So Rikuji, I think, is one of the top 3 gardens in Tokyo. We're around 50 minutes or so before the garden closes down at 5. We're gonna do a quick tour because 50 minutes is kind of cutting it close, but we're gonna do a quick tour of the gardens, and yeah, I'll see you afterwards. And the park is closing in around 10 minutes, so I think that's gonna be my visit to Rikuji. I think it's a really nice place. The entrance was 300 yen per person, which was really cheap considering for how big the garden is. I think you could have easily stayed here for another hour and explored some more of the like hidden paths and stuff. Definitely worth it, I would say, if you are in the area. So yeah, that concludes our kind of Yanaka tour. So we saw the Yanaka Cemetery and the surrounding area with the Sky Bathhouse and stuff. We then saw the Nezo Shrine, which was really amazing. Definitely go there if you're in Tokyo, definitely. And then we went to Yanaka Ginza. I think that's skippable if you don't have the time. It's not a tourist trap, but it's kind of touristy. Yeah, not definitely needed if you are, unless you really want to go there. And the last stop was here, Rikugi. I would recommend that as well. And from here on out you have the train station that's around 200 meters away, so maybe 5 minutes walking, and from there you can go on the Yamanote loop back to wherever you are staying or whatever. So definitely would recommend. I hope you enjoyed this one-day tour. I think I'm probably gonna do a couple more of these, some other areas in Tokyo that I like. And yeah, as always, like, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Unfortunately, tomorrow is gonna be a rainy day, but I'll still find something interesting to talk about, hopefully. But yeah, see you tomorrow.